If you watch Wolf of Wall Street, or if you've seen the show Billions, or you are a Bollywood fan and you've loved the movie Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara and Hrithik's character in it, the one thing they all have in common is that they are investment bankers. And over the last few years, maybe a decade or so, we all have heard that investment banking has become such a glorified, lucrative career. Why is it that so many people who are wanting to enter the field of finance want to get into investment banking? In this video, we're going to cover it all for you guys. Now, if it's the first time you're visiting our channel, then please click subscribe. And as always, if you find value in this video, give us a thumbs up. First of all, what is investment banking? Simply put, an investment banker helps its clients raise money, or when there is a merger and acquisition, the investment banker is the middleman. When Walmart from US came to acquire Flipkart in India, that deal was one of the largest deals for an Indian company. The way it was done is that there had to be a middle person who would take care of the regularities, the legalities, who looked at the numbers, who ensured that everything was smooth, and most importantly, ensured that the money was transferred correctly with no wrongdoings. All of that, or well, a substantial part of that, is the job of the investment banker. Similarly, if Zomato, when it was starting off, if it wanted to raise money, right, it needed money to build the app better, to hire people, to reach out to more restaurants, all of that, they would require money. Now, the Zomato team had to do a lot of this work, but they also had to go find investors. So they would hire an investment banker who would create a financial model of what they want to do, understand what the potential of Zomato can be based on their plan, how much money they need, go out in the market on behalf of Zomato, or at least pitch it to investors who, if interested, that investment banker would connect Zomato with these investors. Also, there are investment bankers who are detailed into research. You get to see so many sectors. EdTech is one of the biggest sectors right now, which is completely surrounded with finance, raising money. Fintech is one of the other most trending topics, right? Startups are coming in plenty over here. And you talk about traditional industries, right? You talk about insurance, you talk about banking, it's not always finance, right? You talk about technology, you talk about manufacturing. Investment bankers are great at conducting market research from the perspective of numbers. Even if you get a small slice of it for a year's worth of work, 2 years worth of work, it is still more than most people make in their lifetime. So that's why investment bankers are so glorified. And let me now break it down for you in terms of technicalities. And it can't be so good, right? It's too good to be true for it to just be as nice as it sounds. So how does it really work? Well, investment banking is split into 3 layers. There is something called front end, there is something called middle office, and then there is something called support. The ones you have heard about or you might be visualizing is front end. Front end is where you go, meet clients, network with people, know that your ability to know big people in the market, CEOs, heads of other funds, all of this is important for you to do. So you have to be an extremely extroverted person, be a superb social person, and an immense amount of finance knowledge, and of course, years of experience and credibility. So that's front end. That's something that many people can do, but it doesn't just start so easily, right? If you want to go down the front end route, the best ways is that you have to come out of the Ivy League colleges, right? You've got to do your IIMs, your IITs, probably if you go overseas, you have to go in the top 20 universities anywhere. And then you enter maybe into consulting and so on and so forth, and then slowly you come to the front end. The front end is the one responsible for getting customers and generating the revenue. It is extremely high pressure, extremely competitive. You might be great at it, you might love it, but it is not as rosy as it sounds, because getting the deal is the toughest part, one of the toughest parts of this entire situation. All right, middle office. Middle office is the one who liaisons with the front office. They help the front office. They look at legal, they look at strategy, they look at finance, they look at all those things that the front office will need to go and pitch to clients, to go and find the right deals, to go and know what the right cost for these deals would be. That's the middle office job. And then comes the support office. The support office is where majority people can actually step into investment banking with no barriers to it. It's easier to enter into this. So if you think about what does the back-end office do? Well, they actually are the ones who execute all the things that are happening. Think about, like I just mentioned, right? When Flipkart was being acquired, there was 1 lakh plus crore rupees transfer. That cannot happen with a simple net banking transfer. You need hundreds, if not thousands of people at the back end ensuring that everything is happening perfect. Every single rupee is accounted for. There is so much of financial modeling, of valuations, of ensuring again all the there's something called the trade life cycle, right? Which I'll come to in a bit. That entire trade is executed perfectly. All of this is done because if this is done properly, the investment bank, like I said, makes an amount which is so large at the end of the day because of having so many deals and such massive volume of transactions that the investment bank becomes extremely profitable. All the transactional details are all taken care of by the support office. Companies like JP Morgan or Morgan Stanley or Goldman Sachs, they have thousands of people at the back end because these kind of investment banks get so many deals of such massive value across the world. And then India's back end is what all of these global trades from the investment banking world, all of these global trades, all the support work is done from India. So if you want to enter into this field, gain experience, know how the world works, further, I've written down a few things that the back end does. They verify trades. Again, I'm going to explain that in a bit. Trade processing and settlement. When such a transaction happens, it's not just going to happen easily, right? Somebody, like a massive amount of people have to look at ensuring that it all eventually gets settled. They handle the transfer of funds, exactly what I was just talking about. Accounting and recording keeping. You know, when I say 1 lakh plus 1 lakh crore rupees, it's again not one big deal, right? It's going to happen in different ways, in such complicated ways. All of that has to be maintained and kept an account for. All of that is done by the back office and presentations and documentations for the front office. So the ones who are dealing with the clients, they have all the correct data, all the correct information executed by thousands of people at the back end, who they then go, the front office then goes and shows it to the client. Entering into the back office by learning simple skills is actually possible. You just, of course, would be diligent and great at whatever they expect you to do, but it can be an amazing entry point for you to know about this industry, learn from people who are of course experienced, get a good brand on your CV, and most importantly, network with people who, if not today, in a few years might just be a potential partners or clients for that matter. So that's first of all how the 3 layers of investment banking work. So first things first, what was this trade life cycle I was talking about? You know, at the back end, at the support office, that's what's going to be the main thing. So if you are thinking about getting into investment banking, and you should from the support side first because that's the best entry point, you'll need to know the trade life cycle. So step 1 of the trade life cycle is the pre-sales bit. When you get a client, when the front-end office gets a client, you have to onboard the client. You have to know all the client's details, their motivations of doing this, so you know how to really process the deal. You need to look at the transaction cost details. You need to implement something we call pre-risk controls because with so much happening, you can't afford to have any mistakes. This is at the stage 1 when for the support office. The next step is the execution. Now these trades can happen over exchanges, over the counter, through alternative trading avenues, and it's now become highly automated compared to the old way where we would call it a traditional pit, as they call it. So I think it's now much more electronic, much more automated than it used to be. Step number 3, the clearing of it. Now, after the trade is done, it needs to be validated, it needs to be correctly recorded, and everybody who's involved, all counterparties, all the legal authority, all the compliances, everything needs to be re-verified. That's step number 3. Step number 4, the settlement. Once the trade is executed, the final step is that the money has to go into the relevant people's bank accounts, and all of that, it's called giving them settlement instructions, and it has to be to ensure that the funds have been transferred, which makes sure that the entire deal is finally settled. And step number 5, position and risk management. After the entire settlement, you still have to manage a lot of ongoing activities. This takes care of the entire trade cycle. All of this you can learn if you want, you must learn actually, if you want to enter into the investment banking operations as well, because operations, support, all of them mean the same thing. So what do you need to do if you want to enter into this field? Well, as many of you all know, at Zell, we any which ways conduct these investment banking operations programs, and in a period of 6 months, we take you through everything and then hopefully help you get into one of these companies to begin your career. What all do you need when this is the direction you want to get into? Number one, financial knowledge. You need to understand the basics of financial statements, balance sheet, profit and loss account, cash flow statements. You need to understand basics of the financial markets. You need to understand basics of Excel, financial modeling. Most of the work is done through Excel and financial modeling. And then of course, like the trade life cycle I explained is another important aspect. So all of this. Next is your communication skill. Communication skills need to be great, superlative if you want to go into the front end. However, luckily from the support side, when you want to work hard, you want to understand how modeling works, valuation works, markets work, you don't need as much of communication skills, but you need enough of it to communicate with your team members, maybe communicate with the front office, not necessarily with the clients. And also very important, you need to communicate it with the company before they hire you, because as long as you can put your thoughts into words or on paper, you will at least be able to show somebody. Also, what kind of companies do you get into here in India? Well, like I already mentioned, the international company like JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, Merrill Lynch have an investment banking arm, support arm as well. But Indian companies as well, ICICI Securities, Axis Capital, Kotak, WNS, all these companies also give you an amazing opportunity in India. When it comes to starting off at the support office, your starting salary package based on your past experience and communication skills and of course technical skills, it can range anywhere from around 4 to 5 lakhs all the way to 8 to 12 lakhs on all these criteria. This is one opportunity you have, that in 6 months you can just apply effort, build your skills, not having any background in this, learn enough to basically dive into this opportunity. And if you get selected, you work for a while, work for a couple of years, learn as much as you can. In a short span of time, you can actually reach a good position, might be equivalent to somebody who must be having some degree or some qualification that they've started investing in by themselves for years. So it's not always that easy catch up to somebody in a short span of time. But finally, you have something here that might give you that chance. So if there's anything more that you think you need more clarity on, leave it in the comments. We'd love to help you out.